Buying a home right now in Canada could be extremely risky. And in today's stream, we are going to go through an example of how buying is so risky. I'm actually going to show you, go through some calculations. The numbers are just mind-blowing, to be honest. That's why I came out with this video. You know, I was trying to put myself in somebody's shoes who wanted to buy a home in Calgary. You know, Calgary is a more affordable place than a lot of places in Canada. And no matter which way I put the numbers in, I could not make it work without a significant amount of risk or losing a lot of money versus renting. And I'm not an advocate for people renting. I'm just saying that from the viewpoint of value, it makes more sense to rent right now. So let's get right into it. So as you can see from this house, and I've obviously blanked out the addresses. I blanked out the addresses because on YouTube you can't show addresses for which you don't have permission to do so, and I don't have permission, so I'm not showing the addresses. So if you're wondering why the addresses are blanked out, that is why. So this listing right here, $619,000 for this small house, which is 1,631 square feet. As you can see down here, property taxes are $3,342. Next thing I'm going to take you over to is a rental now. So rental in a similar area, you'll have to excuse the bad pictures because most of the time it's landlords taking it themselves, so they're absolutely terrible. But anyway, you look at the picture, the house is pretty much identical. They're similar sized houses. This one is also 1,600 square feet approximately. It's a 3-bedroom house and it's $2,400 per month. So that are the two things that we're going to use for this mathematical equation, which is going to blow your mind. Literally, I find it funny because a lot of people talk about Calgary. There's a lot of buzz about Calgary, put it that way. Take a look at how much a mortgage would cost us on a place like that. So if you bought that house and let's say you got $20,000 off the asking price, and you got it for $600,000, you put $120,000 down, 20% down payment. I'm being very generous on the home buyer side in this equation, by the way. So anyway, you put 20% down, $120,000, and you're looking at $2,631 a month on a 5-year fixed mortgage, 30 years, over 30 years. So that is a substantial amount of money, $2,631. And I'm going to read you out some of the other fixed expenses that I'd say you have as a homeowner. So you're paying $278.50 per month in property taxes. So you're getting closer to $3,000 per month with just the mortgage payment and property taxes, okay? You've got $250 a month for home insurance. Home insurance is very expensive in Calgary because of the hail. This is including roof coverage, but you know, I think that's actually on the low end if you have roof coverage, and you really need it because, you know, otherwise you're going to be paying for a new roof every 5 years possibly, because the hail is just getting more and more extreme in the city. And then $416.66, which is 1% of the value for a maintenance fund, to essentially put money towards maintenance for the house. And that's assuming that you have no money, because these are both brand new houses. The house for rent is a brand new house, and the house to buy is practically brand new as well. Obviously, you're going to get some sort of new home warranty that will last a certain amount of time. Then you can save up with that maintenance fund. So again, I think with these numbers, I'm being very generous because you could argue that people need to save a lot more than that per month if they don't have a reserve fund for maintenance. And you could also argue that home insurance is on the low side. Remember, bear in mind that property taxes are obviously just going to go up from here. They're not going to go down. So I think that is very interesting. And then a lot of pushback that you probably get on this is people saying that, well, rents just go up. And I want to show you this chart. It's from the US, it's from CoreLogic. And you can see that during the recession, when unemployment went up significantly in the US and you had the big housing downturn, rents actually went down. In fact, at one point, they were going down 5%. So that is a big drop per year, 5% in rents. So typically, actually, I believe when unemployment goes up, rents go down. You can even see that in 2020 on this chart where it started to happen. And obviously, the unemployment just did not last very long at all because it's got to be allowed to have that time. And in the case of 2020, you had that absolutely gigantic fiscal response, which caused a lot of the inflation that we see today, that I just don't see that's going to be coming in the future. I mean, you might, but I really don't see them going for that option. I think, fiscally, governments are going to be a lot more conservative when it comes to these stimulus packages. Obviously, they'll all still be there, but I just think that because of what's happened, governments aren't going to want to borrow as much. And you have to think of it, we're already starting to see that with governments, but you have to think of the amount of debt they have. Now, obviously, that's excluding the US, because the US is kind of in its own boat where it has the reserve currency, so it has a benefit a lot of other countries like Canada don't have. When you look at this house here, essentially you're looking at a house that is minimum, in my opinion, 30 to 40% overvalued. Now, how have I come to that conclusion? Because I'm looking at the amount of income that it would take to sustain buying a house like this. And in Calgary, you're talking about 45% of household income would have to be spent on a house like this if somebody was going to go and buy it right now. And then I also look at the rent range, as we've done. What are rentals going for? Because if you buy a house and you take a massive risk, you're taking a huge leap of faith on that, because if you lose one income, you are screwed. You are absolutely screwed if house prices go down, because essentially you won't be able to sell the house for what you paid for it. And remember, you start off with paying the spread for all the fees and stuff, because when you sell a house, it's not free. You have to pay all these fees, and that's your spread cost. So you start off negative from the get-go, essentially. Obviously, if you put 20% down, that's not the case. It's kind of mad when you think of it from that viewpoint, because if you lose one single income, then essentially you can't rent it out for what you pay for it. Obviously, you're going to be in a bad situation then as well, because you've lost one income, so you're not going to be able to subsidize minus $1,000 a month for renting it out. You're just not going to be able to do that. And if unemployment is going up in a sustained fashion, then that's going to be putting pressures on rents coming down, and likely you will see interest rates come down with them. I think it's very, very interesting from that viewpoint, because obviously it's not one that the real estate industry ever talks about, because it's not in their interests. Their interests are purely financial, to sell you something. I have no interest in selling you anything. This is just my views and my perspective on things right now as somebody who's not looking to buy here at all for my own reasons, which I won't go into and bore you with. And obviously, we haven't even talked about the fact that I assumed a 20% down payment. And this is where things get, really, really interesting in my opinion, because I assumed a 20% down payment, but obviously you can get a house like that with a 5% down payment, taxpayer subsidized mortgage, of course, through the CMHC. And essentially, those mortgages are massively subprime, if you think about it. Because anybody who goes to buy with 5% down, even in Calgary, they are taking a massive amount of risk, huge amount of risk, because they fall out of work, they are screwed. The labor market in Calgary is cyclical, just like everywhere else. And it is likely that we're going to see unemployment go up in Calgary as well as everywhere else. We saw in 2020 how the economy isn't diversified here at all. and things went south pretty fast. I think we should talk about the CMHC in a separate video entirely, but that just goes to show you the risk there. I'm going to do a video more about mortgages because I'm hearing a lot of talk from brokers and real estate agents who really just want to sell you something. They never want to say, now's a good time to just wait. I mean, literally in Calgary, people are getting paid $13,000 per year to wait right now because of the savings versus buying a home. And that's without all the risks as well, because like I said, if you lose a job, if you're in a situation where you lose a job, and I very much think this will be more of a white collar recession, then what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to rent it out. So, and if the home hasn't appreciated, then you're screwed as well, especially since most people are spending their life savings putting towards a down payment for the house, so they haven't got much money left over. So I think it's very, very interesting. Obviously, total costs to buy a house right now, very similar houses in similar neighborhoods, you're going to pay $3,576.16 to buy it. You're going to pay $2,450 to rent it. That's including tenant insurance, $2,400 for the house. And you're going to be saving $13,512 per year by renting versus buying right now. So does it make sense to take a risk? I mean, it's what you guys think that matters, not what I think, but in my opinion, I don't think so. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy this video here. You might also enjoy that video there. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.